Welcome back to another episode of Unpacking with Jennifer Satel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow to get the latest updates and when the newest episode drops. Welcome back, everybody. So excited. I say this every time. I'm going to continue to say this every time. I have an amazing guest today. I'm going to build him up and then I'll let him talk, okay? I'm going to build him up and then I'm going to let him talk. Hi, Keith.
Hey,
this
Jennifer.
is Keith. So what I do is I build you up and then the bar is high.
Oh, boy.
Keith is amazing, awesome, wonderful. We're going to explain what he does, his industry, all of his business, everything, all of it. But of course, I'm going to tell how we met. Right?
That's a great story.
It's a good one.
And it's a long story.
It's a long story, but I'll try to short story long. No, long story short.
Okay.
I always try to short story long it. Just kidding. Okay. So David and I'm so glad you're here. This is so exciting. Okay. So David and I was living up in San Jose for a job and David and I had reconnected and we were doing long distance for a couple years. And we said, should we move in together? We don't know what to do. Great, whatever. Okay, let's move in together. I reached out to Brock, which I went to school with his wife, who I still talk to, and it was like, do you know of anybody? Because I was like looking online. I mean, it's like a world of whatever. And I said, do you know anybody that could just help us get a rental? Well, obviously we're not buying right now. And just help us with a rental house in this area. And he's like, I got the perfect person for you. I'll give you his information. Boom, Keith. What I did not know though, until recently-ish, was what? Your first? You
guys were my very first client. And I didn't tell you that until recently because I faked it really well.
You did. I would have never known that.
That's because I'm a rock star.
I know, you're such a rock star. When he told me, it was like, I want to say like maybe when we had lunch or something.
A couple years ago, yeah.
He said it and I played it off like for a hot second, like, wait, what? I didn't even know that.
I tell the story. You guys were my very first client and God. I knew you didn't know it.
No, God, no.
But that's part of what we do. You know, if you're good at what you do, you shouldn't see me sweat, right?
No.
Yeah.
Gosh, no. And he really, I mean, gosh, we looked at so many houses.
We did.
And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, we're just like, it was just like nothing was right. And then obviously one of the last ones when we were like, let's pause. It was great. But I never knew Keith. I never knew. And he had a whole other life, which he'll tell you before he got into his real estate industry, which of course I gave a snippet, but I'm not giving, he's going to talk, guys, I promise. But I had no idea. He was so warm. He was so kind. He was so patient because in my head, because I have no patience, I mean, I have to with Charlotte now, but I really don't have a lot of patience. I was like, this poor guy, every house we're like, well, we didn't really like this, but that's just how it is. I get it. But after like the 20th house, I'm like, Jesus, he's going to punch us in the face. And David's like, Keith is amazing. He doesn't even he just keeps, and you'd have a list and we would just chug along. And we found the one and it was great. And the story is actually funny too, when the story of getting in the house. But I'm going to say that really quick. So I just lived in an apartment.
Sure.
So the owner was very involved in the house and the people that lived there were moving out. They'd only been there a little bit. They were older. That was a really big house for them, I remember. Mm-hmm. But it was funny because they're like, well, the owner wants to meet you and so do the tenants that were there. And I was like, they've lived here like a year. Like, it's not their house. I didn't understand that process. So we all go in as a meeting. We're in this house with all this huge furniture. I just remember it was like a lot of floral.
Yeah.
It was all floral. It was very busy. And we sat there and it was fine. It was great. But I was like, is this what you normally do when you just want to rent a house? And we did it and we didn't think, but I had no idea. Like you meet obviously you're going to meet the owner of the house,
sure.
But the tenants that weren't even invested in that house, I was like, I don't even know why you would.
It was just weird. It was weird. And you try to go with the flow. And totally. If that's what was going to take to get you all what you needed, mm-hmm. That's what we're going to do. And that's what we did.
Oh my gosh. I remember my eyes were like, we have to meet them? Like, I don't understand what language this is. Maybe I don't know real estate. I don't know. It was just so crazy, but we did it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have known, didn't even know it was your first,
nope.
But you were so amazing and wonderful. And
oh, thank you.
And wonderful. But yeah, that part was just strange. And they were old. They were pretty old. And we're just sitting there and it was like, I felt like we could all hear like our heart. The real estate agent of the owners.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was a party.
It was a party. Good thing when they had that giant floral couch that we all.
Didn't you get a refrigerator out of the deal?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
for the garage. Yeah,
Yes.
I remember that.
We were like, can we keep the refrigerator? It was like the weirdest thing, but yeah, it was so great. But the house, we're still in it. We love it.
Yeah,
it's so homey to us. And
it's a great house.
It is.
Yeah,
it does need a little love in certain areas, but it's actually a great house. And everybody that comes in that house just says, this house feels very homey, and that's what I felt when I walked into it.
And that was 2014.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. At the very end of 2014. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. I mean, I didn't think we would be living there that long, but I do. I feel it just feels homey no matter what. I mean, again, aesthetically, it's not, what I would want, a kitchen and stuff, but it's so homey, and everybody just comes in, and I feel like
that means we got it right.
We got it right. 27 houses later, we did it. But I want you to tell, what did you, besides obviously cat's out of the bag that you're in real estate,
sure,
but you did have a life before real estate.
That is true. There was a life before real estate. So for 33 years almost, I worked for.
I thought you were only 37.
I
so
know.
What are you talking about?
It's the hair. But I worked for AT&T. And I started when I was 19.
All right.
So I was a baby.
You were.
And it was just the best career. And I did so many amazing things and got to learn so many things. I mean, the advent of ISDN, for those that remember that technology, the advent of Uverse. We rolled that out in LA. I did call center stuff, 611. And toward the end, I was helping run a San Diego organization. So I was traveling back and forth, a couple times a month. But yeah, it was a great career, but it got to be where it's like, I wanted to be my own boss, and when you've had a boss for 33 years, you yearn for being your own boss. Yeah.
I want to answer to me.
Yeah, exactly. And some friends of mine had started investing in real estate. So I jumped down to that while I was still employed at AT&T.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, okay. And then I'm like, I think I could do this kind of on the regular.
There we go.
And still help people. I'm ready. And it took a minute to get out. I kept calling, let me go. And they would let me go. Yeah.
They're holding onto your ankles
really,
don't do it.
It was like, today? No, another year goes by. Today? Yeah. So finally a great opportunity came and I left. And
on good terms.
Oh, on great terms. Mm-hmm. It's literally, I walked out of there with my box and walked right into real estate the next day. I was so crazy I didn't even take a vacation. I just jumped into real estate. And I already had my license ahead of time, so I was ready.
Oh, you were
I was trying to get ready. Yeah, I was trying to get out.
How long did it take you to do your real estate license? How long does it normally take? Fast? 6 months? 3 months?
It can be like a 6-month process. And actually, I want to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. Okay. But I got it and I had it for 2 years before I actually engaged with it. But I haven't looked back since then.
No. And then, so let me ask you this.
Sure.
So right when you jumped in, right, you went in there, you still had the plant in the box, went to the new office, old Post-its that you hung on to, you had pencils that still needed sharpening.
Absolutely.
You go in there and then you're just ready to go? Or was it a little bit, how was the transition of that?
It was a weird and scary transition because I'm coming from a salary job where checks showed up twice a month, whether you're great at what you do or whether you kind of suck at what you do.
True story.
And now all of a sudden I'm into a world where you don't get paid unless you get a close a transaction. Uh-huh. That was it was like, oh, okay. All right. That's how this works, right?
I was standing at the mailbox waiting for that check.
So that's a big transition for somebody.
And you're paying your own health insurance and you're paying things that you took for, like it came with the job. And now you're like, oh, wait, I have to buy my own.
Now I've got to do all, so it's like, oh, okay. Ooh. So it was a bit of a transition.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And in the meantime, you're learning and you're going to all the classes and you're learning how to this new language and this new way of being. And faking your way through the first transaction. And so, but it was daunting, in the first year, it was rough and I didn't do well my first year. Sure. So I started rethinking like, did I make a mistake? But second year, you guys started the second year, and I've not looked back since then.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have, if it's too personal, but what do you do? So let's say your first year, you said you didn't do very good.
Yeah.
They usually don't just throw you out there. You usually partnered with another real estate, like a more seasoned one, or do they just throw you out there by yourself?
No. We have a mentor program at our market center, in our brokerage, which is very healthy. And I was part of that. So I'm out there doing the work. It wasn't just like, hey, kid, get away. Don't ask me. Oh, no, I'm out there doing the open houses, doing the talk, trying to grow my database and all those things that you're supposed to do. But it just took time for those seeds to kind of, you water them and some take longer than others. And mine just happened to take a while until you guys came along and you were literally the first client.
I love it.
And I haven't looked back.
I've never even ever, when you told me that at lunch, I swear to God, it felt like it took me like a good full 5 seconds to register. I was like, oh.
And no one has ever asked me that. Like, as I was going through those first few years, nobody said, how many times have you sold? No one ever asked.
No, but you have this like ease, everything you had. I mean, it was just all put together. You weren't stamped. It wasn't like this weirdness. And even if you were, I would never probably even noticed, but you were just so like on it. Like you were like all your T's were crossed, all this stuff right out of the gate.
Well, that's what I let you see.
Yeah.
So, once you guys are out of the car, it's like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do now? No, but that's my job. If we're good at what we do, you don't see the 7,000 things that happen outside of, behind the scenes on a transaction or when things don't, maybe they fall apart or don't go as the way they ought to go. My job is to not let you see that. And apparently
you go home and cry in your pillow or scream in your pillow. Fine. Everything's fine.
So the mentor program is great. It works. And I don't know what I would do. And I'm still great friends with my mentors even today. We just had lunch the other day.
Awesome.
And they're just great people. And they remind me that it took a minute, but we got it done.
Yeah. And you're just so patient too. So I feel like, that first year you were probably doubting everything you did.
Absolutely.
I did the same thing.
Absolutely.
I did absolutely the same thing. I was like, what are you doing? Again, I can't take time off and not get paid. I don't get a vacation. I don't get PTO. I don't get sick days. I don't get any of those. And with Charlotte being, months old at the time, I was like, well, she's sick, I'm home, So it was like, it's just crazy because the one good thing about, working for a corporation, right? There's a stability of a paycheck.
Absolutely.
And certain things. And then there's other things that, aren't so great, but at least for me.
But I will tell you, I knew I was doing the right thing and it felt right. It just was timing. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew that it was going to work. And I was going to do what I needed to do to make it work. And I did.
Yeah.
But because everybody clicks at a different time. I mean, some people get, business right away. Some people it's 2 months, some it's 3 months, some it's a year, some it's longer. It just depends. But I knew I'd picked the right thing to do because it felt good.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, let's keep doing it. And it finally started
clicking. And another thing too is, like you said, kind of kidding, planting seeds. I've had clients that, when I used to do tons of networking, and I would go to like weekend networking things, I would give my card, give my spiel, whatever, great. You didn't hear anything.
Right.
And in some cases, I never did. Right. But in some cases, 6 months later, they were like, I found your card. I had put it in a spot that I'd remember or, whatever. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad. Or I wasn't ready. And maybe same thing with real estate. You think, I'm going to sell it. And then, we're not really ready to sell because we have to figure out, all the things, right? So sometimes
that is a reality.
You go into an open house, they still remember that. It may not have just happened right then.
Just if I could tell a quick story.
Of course, please.
I was doing open houses, which was my kind of favorite way to lead generate. So every weekend I was out there, Saturdays, Sundays, sometime during the week, but I was out there doing it, meeting people, right? So I would see this guy come in and he signed up the first time in my little book and everything. And I talked to him briefly, but he just kind of walked around and whatever.
Yeah.
A couple months later, he showed up again at a different open house. And then finally, like the third time I saw him, I'm like, okay, dude, are you buying a house or what? And that's exactly what I said to him. I said it just like that. And I go, you keep coming in here and you're not buying anything. What gives? And he's like, you're funny. That's what he said to me because you're funny. What can we do to help? What else can I do to help? And he's like, the timing. We're just not quite ready. I'm just trying to get a lay of the land.
Sure.
Okay. 6 months later. So now this is almost a year. I'm at the Ralph's parking lot over on Foothill.
Yes.
And the wife calls and says, hi, you've met my husband 3 times and we're ready to buy a house now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And what do we do?
You're like, holy shit.
And so I was like, come on in. And we brought him in.
Let me grab my groceries first.
Right.
I needed some chicken.
And then and they were my third client actually. And they came in and just did everything they were supposed to do. Whatever I asked them to do or insisted that they do. They did it. We got them a great house and turned into several transactions. But it was a year of, and again, he was just kind of doing his legwork up front. And that's happened many, many times where, and you have to learn that just because you meet somebody right away and you may even connect with them.
Yeah.
Timing is everything. And you don't know what goes on in other people's lives once you part. You're not the most important thing in their world.
True
So
story.
and people have, life happens. So,
yes.
But yeah, I've had the, oh, I found your card conversation as well. Absolutely.
Like, oh, yeah, that's where it was. And it's great. And you're like, this was the time you were supposed to meet me.
Exactly.
It wasn't right. Cause I'd leave the networking group and I'm thinking, or, the networking event. And I'd be like, again, I'm not unrealistic thinking if I gave out 50 cards, 50 people are going to call me, but you always hope one. I always tell myself if one person, and I wouldn't, sometimes I would, but a lot of times I wouldn't in the beginning. And I was like, oh, and then I'd hear from almost, those people I gave it to, 25% of them eventually called me and, whatever. And I was like, that's fantastic. Some people just want your card.
It's the law of large numbers.
Yeah.
That's how I approach it. And it's when I do open houses or when I meet people, like I did a great open house this past weekend in Eagle Rock. I just want to connect with one or two people. I don't need to connect with everybody.
Exactly.
Because you're not everybody. I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
No.
You know what? And that's okay. So that saves me from wasting time. So you just want to really connect with one or two people and then nurture those and further those relationships to see what happens. And that's been my approach probably after a couple of years in the business. Because in the beginning, I'm like, oh, what? You ready? You're not going to buy? You ready? Yeah. I learned
You're
that.
not buying today?
Right. I learned that. So I was like,
wait, I thought we had an hour together.
But yeah, so it's like you meet people where they are, and then what can I do to help you with whatever decision you're trying to make, and sometimes it's timing, and sometimes they change. I mean, it just stuff happens,
So here's a question:
Sure.
Do you did you feel in the beginning of starting your own world, not corporate world?
Sure.
Did you feel that you were saying yes to everything?
Oh, in the beginning, yeah.
Right?
Because you're trying to build a business. So I said yes to things that I would never say yes to now. Oh, yeah. You can spot them a mile away now. But in the beginning, you don't know.
Yep.
And, maybe it's this one or maybe it's this one. It's going to be this one over here. I did. I got knee deep with people and situations that I probably shouldn't have. And it turned out to be a nothing burger or a dead end. And, but I've learned
those nothing burgers.
But I've learned, but that's by doing it so often and you get better at what you do, you could spot that stuff a lot quicker. So I say no very easily now.
I was going to say, do you still find yourself saying yes to things that
Nope.
No.
My time and my sanity are just too precious. So I will, if it's not right for me, it's not right for me. But I've got a great coworker that you would be great for. And I will pass, I'll make the introduction and pass it off and what have you. But yeah, every situation is not right for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm too old. I just can't. I can't.
I don't want any more nothing burgers.
I do not. But that doesn't mean that everything all will turn out to be a deal. Yeah. But it's like you can just spot the
you can
things
tell
that are
too
not
people's dynamic. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And you if you spend that much time around people, you start to pick that up pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. You can definitely tell.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been very fortunate most of the time. I would say most of my clients are great. Most of my clients, not all are one and dones. A lot of them I go and I've helped for years. Some of them it's maybe once a year.
Yeah.
Whatever. There's only been a couple that I knew right away the vibe wasn't good. It was a one and done. I was totally okay with it being a one and done. And we're now as, and I get more familiar and more comfortable, I'll be like, and if you ever need my help again for another area, and usually, they'll reach out and be like, you know what, I do. But some I don't say that.
Right. Some don't get the invitation.
There's no invitation, no handwritten hug, nothing.
No.
But I've been very lucky. I really haven't had a ton for me personally. And, obviously different business, but in the beginning I was saying yes to everything. When I look back, I'm like, dude.
But you have to, you almost have to, because you're just trying to grow your business, trying to get your skills up and get your business together. And you got to sometimes say yes to stuff. But again, time and what's the word? Experience.
Yes.
Takes care of that. And you're like, you're not for me. No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So So you've been doing real estate since 2014.
2013, at the very end of 2013.
Okay, so we
yes.
met in 2014.
Right.
And I am not a real estate agent.
No, you're not.
But I am confident that the market has shifted a lot. A lot during COVID. Do you feel that a lot after COVID?
Yeah, COVID was a thing. And
it was a thing.
It changed a lot of things. And so, but I will tell you, first of all, the market definitely, it shifts and you go from a buyer's market to a seller's market. But we've been in a seller's market for such a long time. And now you're seeing more, it hasn't completely shifted in Southern California to a buyer's market, but you can see the behavior starting to shift. So now sellers can't just throw some ridiculous price out there and have 50 people lined up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like, oh, me, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
No. And so there's a little more inventory. Buyers have a little more choice. And sometimes now they're like, we'll wait. We'll just wait.
Yeah.
We don't have to rush out and do that. That being said, COVID. So back to COVID. When COVID happened,
oh my God,
everybody thought this was the end of the world because nobody knew what to expect. What does this mean? We're
100%.
shut down. I don't get that. What does that mean?
I still don't.
So once the rules came out about how we had to move through that, because you had to have different documents signed, disclosures, you could have so many people in a house at a time. You had to wear masks and you had to have the wipes and all that stuff. But once you got through the rules, the 20 and 21 actually were my best years ever.
Yeah.
Because it was nuts. You had people lined up down the block to see stuff and all that. So, but what it did though, is it made the behaviors a little different. So now people are working from home now, which didn't happen before, but they were forced to work from home during COVID and they're still working from home. So now they need more space or different kinds of layouts than what they had before.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a big difference.
Sure.
But yeah, that COVID thing was a trip because we were all like, what do we do?
Yeah, everyone really did think it was the end of the world.
Absolutely.
I've told you before, I think that, I partner with some real estate agents and, I help them kind of get homes ready and stuff. And
Sure.
Sometimes I would ask like, whatever, maybe I'm at the house for 2 days and I get it, picture ready, whatever, a declutter, if you will. And I'll, if the open house is that weekend, if I see the real estate agent again, I'd be like, how was open house? She'd be like, there was 107 people that showed up during COVID.
Yeah.
We had like 65 offers. I mean, people were offering like double of what the house was. And it was bananas. Some of these houses were dumps, like old original 1956 Woodland Hills, single story, carpet, original, worn down. And I'm like, what? And they're like, oh, the person who buys it's going to tear it down. And I'm like, and you had she's like 60, like they would tell me 65 offers, 38 offers. You're lucky if you get like 5 offers, I guess. I don't know what it is.
It changes, but it all of a sudden spiked up then, and you were getting people making blind offers, people that were waiving contingencies, especially an inspection contingency. By the way, folks, I would never recommend that. I've never had a client waive an inspection contingency. I don't care what the condition of the house. You get that house inspected because you need to know what you're buying. But people were, we'll skip that part just so our offer is better or we might get considered. And then a year later, you got floors sinking and all this stuff. And now they've got buyer's remorse. But that's what they did.
It was crazy.
I would never advocate that. But people were just doing crazy things to say me, pick my offer, and regrettably, and they regretted it later. So it did cause some weird behavior. So once we got out of that and kind of back to normal, but a new normal, things sort of mellowed out again, and it was sort of a normal behaving market, and people, but again, my job as a leader in the transaction is like, no, we're doing this to protect you. That's my job, is to make sure you're not buying a money pit or something like that. Or, but you said you wanted 3 bathrooms and this only has 1. Why are we here?
Yeah,
what are we doing? What are we doing? 2
aren't going to appear.
No,
you're going to settle for 1 bathroom?
Right.
No.
Oh, we can make it work. But you say that now because you see 100 people out here who want it as well. But a year from now, you're going to be cursing that you bought a 1-bathroom house when there's 5 of you.
Exactly. Yeah. You were really cursing that.
Yeah.
So what's the market like now?
It's still a seller's market, meaning sellers are still in control. But again, there's more inventory. So that causes the buyer behavior to be like, yeah, we don't have to jump at that house if we don't want to.
Are the sellers doing this astronomical prices for some of these? Like it was
not
kind of
anymore because if you look, price drops, 30% of the market still has price drops, meaning they started too high.
Yeah.
Because some sellers, listen, they love their houses. My house is the best house ever. It should be worth $1.5 billion. Okay, but these same type of houses are selling for $1 million. So we're $500,000 apart.
That's a big difference.
But I want $1.5 million. But your house isn't worth you know what I'm saying? So those are hard conversations. And some of us will be like, okay, I'll still list it at $1.5 million. And then months will go by and now we got to drop the price. And the next thing you know, you get down to the $1 million where it belongs, but it's been sitting on the market for 3 months. And now people are passing your house by. Yeah. So you missed that one.
Because they're like, why has this house been on the market so long? Right.
And buyers get spooked when something is like, why is that? Like, real quick, can I tell another story?
Yeah, you can tell them 1,000.
I had a client that I'm working with that moved here from Texas last year. And
I feel like everyone's going to Texas now. Someone's coming back, right?
That's a whole nother story. But yeah, Texas is on the list of But so they were coming out here and they're ready to start their rental search, right? And so they sent me a house and we were interested in these three. And I started doing my homework. Well, the third house had been on the market for 358 days. And I'm like,
whoa.
So when I was calling to give the feedback, I go, did you notice that this house was on the market for 358 days? So the first question I asked when I called my peer, I'm like, why are you on the market for 358 days? The answer was a great answer. They use it as an Airbnb. So they're not necessarily rushed to rent it out.
Okay.
But I assumed something was really wrong.
I would have too.
However, when you looked at the pictures, you can also see that there's an apartment building that's like butted up right next to the house. So there's some things,
Yeah.
But that's my job, is to point those things out. But yeah, it's it's wild. It's just wild like that. But anyway.
I would notice that though. Like
you would know, but everybody gets
no. But I mean, if I saw that many days, I'd be like, "What's wrong with this house?"
Right. And buyers get spooked. And renters get spooked when something is sitting on the market for too long. You know, what's wrong, you know?
So a tiny bit off topic,
sure.
not off topic. It's in the realm of your world.
Yeah.
What do you feel about the Airbnb thing? These houses that, you know, and this question is seriously just because you said Airbnb.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen all these stories where people just completely thrash the house.
Yeah.
They do all this stuff. They rent them out. You know, some I did read recently in the last year or so, there's like, before it could just be 1 or 2 days. Now it's like, oh, if you're going to stay here, you have to stay like a week, because it was just a party house, right? Some of these areas, party houses, especially in these, you know, by the beach and,
Absolutely.
you know, fun places. But what are your thoughts on it? Because I feel that I don't think that is a smart thing. I understand making the money off of it. I guess I understand that, but then I see these kind of horror stories. And again, it's on social media, so you know that it may not be 500 of them. It's probably two that they've just different angles, and it looks like, but where they really just shit can the house.
Listen.
And that's terrible.
Yeah. So the concept of Airbnb, I fully support it. I think people should be able to make money however they need to. So if you want to do a regular rental, that's fine. If you want to do short-term rentals, that's fine. Or even Airbnb, that's fine.
Yep.
But it does come with, even a regular rental comes with issues where if you pick the wrong person, they're going to trash your house. That is
true. That is true.
You're going to get that anyway, whether it's a lease for 12 months or it's a week, or, you just run that risk. So you got to screen properly. You got to really do your due diligence. Like, who am I letting in this, several $100,000 or $1 million property, right?
Yeah.
So you got to do that. And I always encourage my landlords and property owners to do the due diligence. And if you see a red flag, you believe it. Don't overlook the red flag. So I believe if we do a better job screening, we have less of those problems. Although, did you see there was one in Washington, D.C. recently, the one where the woman did the Airbnb and then she wouldn't leave.
Yes.
And the owner had to go to court several times, but finally got her out.
But the fact that they even had to spend the money to do that blows my mind, that she wouldn't leave.
But that happens here too. I know people personally that have squatters, and it takes a minute to get them out. And whereas, listen, love California, wouldn't live anywhere else, but we have our issues when it comes to landlords and tenants. California is a very pro tenant state.
Totally.
Some other states, oh, you get 3 days, pay or quit. You got to go. There's none of this craziness that happens out here. And there's so many stories that we could go into about people getting into a place and then not leaving or trashing it or whatever. So it can happen, you know, whatever. But I fully support the idea of Airbnb, sure.
But I think in the beginning it was a great idea, right? Because you're like, oh, you know what? I don't want to get rid of the house, but you can make some, especially if you're in an area where there's events, you know, like people who live out by, exactly. And you're like, oh, I'm right by this church. They do a lot of weddings. This is a perfect thing. Or could people who have houses in Coachella? I mean, they're geniuses,
absolutely,
right? Or Palm Springs, even, and you're just doing that little
those places, right?
Yeah, those places are great.
But you run that risk.
Yeah, you do run that risk, and sometimes I'm like, what do you think about that? I don't know. It just came to my head when you said Airbnb.
I don't know. I fully support it. You just know that there are certain risks that come with that type of owning that type of investment property. And you just got to do your part about the screening part, because that will cut down on the potential craziness, but you never know. You just never know who you get in there. And
so what areas are you still, I know real estate, you can do real estate anywhere in California. I mean, you always have to get a license in different states and all of that stuff, but you could really go everywhere. But you know your area, you know your...
Yes.
So do you shift off into different areas, or do you kind of just stay in the Altadena, Pasadena?
Where's the check? No. No.
I'm anywhere I need to be.
Yeah, wherever I need. No.
I'm kidding.
But I mean, it's sort of true. But it's like, I go where people need me. So it's like, Pasadena, Altadena, San Gabriel Valley's home. So that's kind of home base. Mm-hmm. But I've done deals as far west as Chatsworth. Mm-hmm. As far east as Fontana, as far east, southeast, east, Moreno Valley.
Oh, okay.
Menifee, and that was a referral. I mean, I was helping out a friend, and I wouldn't normally go that far, but because it was a friend, I did it. Would not do it again.
One and done.
But
that's a commute.
it happened right as COVID started, so the freeways were empty. Oh. So I literally could get all the way out there.
That was the only benefit of COVID.
That was it.
I got to tell you, it was the only benefit of COVID. I was driving on the 405, and I remember it took me the time that you think it should. It took me that time. I was going somewhere, and I was like, if it was like this, I would
there's
be
just no way.
Happy every day.
There's no way I could do that on the regular. So,
no.
But I've literally done business in pretty much every area of Southern California. So, except the far west side, like, Santa Monica, Malibu, I would almost say no to that, because it's too stressful to get there. It would take me 2 hours to get there.
And right now with the weather, every canyon's closed, every PCH is, and you're just like,
So I'm all over the place. So it just depends on where people need me, and that's cool. And the beauty of that is I've lived here my whole life. So in Southern California.
Where
Los Angeles is where I was born, but I've lived in, Long Beach and Chino Hills and Gardena and currently Pasadena, So I've lived all over the place, but by doing business in different parts of the city, I know this place like the back of my hand. I've found some amazing spots that I didn't even know about. Isn't
that so funny?
Oh, it's great.
It's so great.
It's great.
You're like, I know this place. And then you're like, wait.
It's like, I never knew this little pocket was over here. And it's just, beautiful or whatever. So that's the beauty of going all over. But I would, license for the whole state of California. So if I have somebody who wants some help in, let's say, Northern California, I've got amazing referral partners that I would refer them to. Where they would get taken care of very well.
Yeah.
And
plus they're in that area you don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
Because you're one person and you're not like,
And I'm not driving to San Francisco to go sell a house.
And right now, no. No one's going to San Francisco.
No.
Okay. So obviously you service areas, but you kind of stay in the vicinity of Pasadena.
Well, it's home. Yeah. That's kind of home. Yeah.
So, and then what are your services? What do you do? What's your shtick?
My shtick? What's my spiel?
What's your spiel stick?
What's the spiel? What I do, and actually I just recently kind of am shifting focus of my business. And I'm really focused now on helping the senior community. That's kind of my new focus for the rest of my career.
That's great.
Folks, not only am I a senior, yes, I am.
No, you're not.
I am.
You're 38. Shut up.
Okay. But going through things like with my dad that I'm going through, and then I looked at the people that I have helped, and most of them are, of a certain age, and they're making choices about,
Yes.
how they're living. And I'm like, you know what? This feels good. And this is what I want to do.
And I feel like, and I could be wrong, I don't want to say it's an untapped, world resource, whatever. I feel like it's a lot. There's a lot of parents or people whose parents, and then you know what I mean? And it trickles down, and you know that they're downsizing because now the kids are out,
exactly.
or that they've retired and maybe they don't need a 3,000 square foot house.
You don't need the big house, or you don't need the 2-story house. Maybe you need,
especially because of the climbing of the stairs and the blah, blah, blah. And
and so it just feels it's the right thing for me to do. So I've really started just this year to shift my focus to that and really kind of, not that I won't help anyone else.
Right.
Absolutely.
Kind of hone in on that.
That's going to be my shtick. That's going to be my niche, if you will.
There we go. I think that's great though, because it's, it's part of life. It's just,
it is. And let's face it, we're all going to get there hopefully one day, right?
I'm not.
You're not? Oh, okay. All right. Well, the rest of us will at some point. And,
this is forever. How dare you?
That's funny. I would want somebody to help me through that when I'm ready for the help.
Yep.
And like I said, what I'm going through with my dad, who's 90. Yay.
Yes.
He just turned 90 in November.
November what?
November 2nd.
Oh, mine the 19th, so I didn't know.
And so just the stuff that we're going through, and then like I said, the people that I've helped and that I've been around, I'm like, I think I can add value to that market. And so,
do you think that pushed you because of what you're dealing with your dad?
I think that helped. It kind of helped push me in that direction because, no offense to first-time home buyers, who I love, it's a different vibe.
Oh yeah,
it's a different thing. And I'm a teacher at heart. So when you have somebody and you're showing them, this is why this house may be good for you or maybe not, and you're educating them about neighborhoods and this, that, and the other, that's really cool. And I still enjoy that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that's what I want to focus on. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on for now.
The thing is, I have this almost just hearing you talk about it, I almost want to get teary-eyed because I don't know what it is. I just have such a soft spot for old people. There's some that you see that are crotchety and you kind of joke like, oh, this crotchety. But I feel like, in some cases, and, not all cases, again, I'm just speaking from what I see is houses I go to, conversations I have, and just what I know. Sometimes, the kids move away.
Yeah.
They have their own family. Maybe the husband or maybe the wife died, and they're kind of just by themselves.
And see that.
And that's the part that just brings a tear to my eye because I think, and just the littlest things, even just their mail, they don't know what to do with, they don't know what to do with stuff. And helping them downsize, sell with your personality, with your knowledge and with your patience. Also, because you've been dealing it with and helping your dad so much. I mean, 90 wonderful years.
Yeah.
But there's been some, ups and downs, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And helping him. But you've been doing it for a while, I don't know exactly how long, but I know it's been a while.
Yeah.
And I always feel, I don't want to say I feel sorry, but I just feel like sometimes the kids go off, or maybe they don't, maybe they don't even have kids. They're just by themselves and they don't know.
Well, and
people take advantage of that.
That's what I was about to say. That's another whole piece of dealing with my dad over these intimately for these last 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
That community gets taken advantage of so much from, spam phone calls and emails and just all that stuff. And, you feel like, and we tend to discard old people. Once people seem to get of a certain age or have a certain look about them, you're like, I don't want to be bothered with them. And I just feel like I want to help.
Oh yeah.
And that's the helper in me. And so with my knowledge and of what people go through or are going through, I want to be there to help them.
I know. It's just, I think it's awesome that you're doing that because
thank you.
I get this little, I just feel bad. You just feel, It's not that I feel sorry for them. It's like you want to protect them.
Yeah.
I want to like this bubble around them because I'm like, people suck. People take advantage. They do. Some people really suck. They scam. And a person who's 80 or 70 even, they open up this mail and it's like, or get a phone call and they think it's, oh my God, they're going to take everything from me. And they might, but God, I want someone to be there to help them. And I think, I mean, I know you can't fix it all and I can't fix it all because I also really try to help people that I can. And I know they're maybe downsizing or moving to assisted living or moving to maybe just a smaller, like a little condo or something and, downsizing. I just want to like mush them and put them in a blanket.
That's what I want to do. And I want to just kind of give my energy and give my all to that and just really help that community because they need the help and they should have a trusted advisor. And I want to be that person.
I love it. It just makes me happy.
Yeah.
Because I think, just like in movies, it's like the crotchety old neighbor. And it's like, no.
Yeah, they're not all like that.
No,
some of them are just the sweetest people and they just want a little company sometimes and they want to tell stories and, all that stuff.
Yes.
So we just should do better.
Awesome.
We should do better by our senior community as a whole.
Oh my gosh. Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I first had Charlotte, probably that first year, because I had a little more time, I wasn't, we couldn't afford full-time daycare and I was starting my business, but I remember reaching out to all the local Chatsworth, Woodland Hills kind of local nursing homes and seeing if I could bring Charlotte and, maybe just do like a story time for them. And, the excitement of a little, she wasn't even like one. So she was still a peanut and, just seeing, hoping that, and I got to go to 2, but then it was like, they wanted me for Easter morning and it was like kind of hard. And then it was like these other moms wanted to do it. And then everyone had these schedules. And then I got pissed off because I'm like, you said you could help and then you couldn't help and I can help, but I can't help all the time. So then I was like, oh my gosh, but I did do that for a bit. And I got to bring Charlotte and just they got to see a baby and then I just read a story. And we play, I think we played a couple games and Charlotte would be sleeping or someone would be holding her. And I like I said, I only got to do it 2 times. And one was, I think in Canoga Park and then one was in Woodland Hills. And I felt so good. And then I got frustrated because like we know, everyone's schedule's different. So it's like all these moms that are like, sign me up. And then I'd be like, okay, these are the days like, I can't do any of those days. And I'm like, what about these days? It's like, I can't do any of those days. And after the 5th time, I'm like, well, fuck it. I'm not going to do it anymore. Or at least ask the other moms.
Right,
and so
right.
It was something that, I don't know, I see these videos and you see like them with, you bring a puppy over to the nursing home and everybody goes crazy. It's like, come on, we can do this as a society. I know I'm getting on a tangent, but we should just
do better by that community. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And some of these people just, unfortunately, they pass away all by themselves. And it just kills me, but I'm not going to talk about it anymore because I'll start crying. Okay. And then, so tell me, how do you then focus on certain areas that are more elder? Like, how does that work to kind of switch your focus? Well, you're still obviously going to help people who need your help.
Oh, absolutely.
That's not
like
changing.
If you called me tomorrow and said, hey, I got somebody who's ready to sell a house and I got you, you know what I mean? So that'll still happen.
Yeah.
But it's basically starting in the home area. So I'm starting in the Pasadena, area, kind of dissecting like how long have you owned the house and what the age is and stuff like that, and just starting to reach out and kind of share.
Oh, good. Okay, I wasn't sure how
things to look at. Yeah, things to consider. If you need more information, hey, reach out. Just we'll start like that, and then I'm going to eventually get into doing lunch and learns and things like that in some of the centers and stuff like that. So that's kind of the large plan. But
no, that's great. I was wondering how do you segue into kind of a little bit shifting your focus, but not losing your main goal. So here's another question. I have 5,000, but here's one. Yeah. How did the fires affect?
Wow. 1 year ago. I just was looking last night.
I know. And I just pulled that one out of my head. I mean, that one was a question I've been wanting to ask anyway. Yeah. But I didn't even realize it was literally like a year ago.
So it still gives me pause and I still have to kind of collect myself sometimes because thinking back to that initial couple of days was just, it was wild. And so
I can only imagine.
This is crazy. I didn't even know there was a fire in the beginning. So I got a call around 6:00 and, hey, do you live near Eaton Canyon? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's just like a couple miles away. Oh, there's a fire in Eaton Canyon. I'm like, what? So I turned on the news and okay, it was just the beginning coverage. And I'm like, okay.
They got this.
Yeah. And then as the news kept going, you're like, you got the sense very quickly that this isn't good. So I texted a peer of mine and I said, because they live literally at the lip of Eaton Canyon.
Ooh.
I said, are you guys good? And she said, yeah, we're about to leave. And she sent me a picture out of her backyard and all you saw were flames. And I'm like, oh crap. So yeah, it was crazy. So at the end of the day, it got within 1.5 miles of my house.
Jeez.
And I left that night. I was, because the smoke had gotten really bad, and the police came through and said you guys should leave. And so I left, and so I stayed away for about a week. Mm-hmm. And I came back, and everything's fine. So thank God for that. But the aftermath was just having been in that community for all these years, and I've sold houses up there. I've toured houses up there. I had friends up there. I had colleagues up there. I had clients up there, and so many people were just so devastated. They were some were out of their homes for a week. Some were out of their homes for a month. Some lost their homes completely. Just everything you can imagine. And it was emotionally just devastating. And it took me, and this is a true story, it took me months before I could go up there.
Oh, I bet.
Because I saw it on TV and it looked like a war zone. It looked like a movie, right? But I just couldn't bring myself to go up there and kind of just tour around because I knew how I would be.
Oh, yeah.
So it took me a while, and I finally did it, and it just was heartbreaking. Absolutely. So all that to say, a couple of byproducts from that. So in my market center, we're based in Pasadena. We had almost 30 agents that lost their homes.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, these are my coworkers.
Yes.
Their homes are gone.
That's heartbreaking too.
All of us, had clients, like I said, who, some completely lost their homes, some partially, just the gamut. So just helping people, that was my concern, is like, how can I help? What can I do? And I'm calling my people. I'm like, what do you need? Are you okay? What can I do? That was a lot. And so our little market center became like a hub, and we started collecting clothes and food and all this stuff. And then our company, Keller Williams, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes. 2 days in, showed up with an 18-wheeler truck with air purifiers and masks and water and all this stuff for us,
wow.
and also for us to be able to give to our community. So it was crazy.
That's amazing.
There are over 100 lots that are still for sale, where people, the homes are gone and the owners have decided that they want to sell. But there's so many, and so investors are picking them up, but now they can take their time because they have plenty to choose from. So if they don't like this price, they can wait it out because the price may drop and whatever. So you got that going on. You got there's some rebuilding that's already started. I think the first home, I think it was a couple weeks ago, they were able to move back in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But the only thing is only 1 or 2.
Wow.
But yeah, all that. So when you drive through there now, it's like, have you been at all?
No, but I have a story about that.
Yeah. It was just very emotionally devastating. And again, it's going to take years for Altonita to properly come back, and it'll be interesting to see what it looks like. But the spirit of those folks who live there is just, it's infectious, and they are serious about it. And I love them.
Oh, again, this isn't about me, but we were doing something, and the 405 was closed. This was a couple months ago.
Sure.
And I was actually supposed to go to Pasadena the day of the fire. The day I was supposed to go for 3 days, and I heard Pasadena, or that area. So I reached out. I think I reached out to you, but I also reached out to my client. I'm like, I just heard there's a fire. What's going on? She's like, it's chaos right now. Like, da da da. Okay, fine. So that was it. So kind of whatever. But I was then working in Malibu. So I'm always in Malibu, and I should say a lot. And then Palisades, but PCH was closed up until a point, till Canaan, which is right on the that's like one of the last big hubs to go through. So up until Canaan, so my clients had moved to like Malibu West.
Sure.
And so I could still go, and I was there. There was no power.
Right.
But they had literally just moved in. So I was unpacking and setting up their house. They weren't even there. Mm-hmm. And I'd have to leave because there was no power. So I'd have to leave when it started to get dark, whatever. And I would just take that. And it was, but I had no clue what was going on because I hadn't gone down. So a couple months ago, and I was there all the time and no power and leave. Finally, we get power, and there was like hundreds of power trucks in that area. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So a couple months ago, we're driving, 405 was closed. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get off on Sunset and I'm just going to go down PCH because I knew it was open. It's only a couple months ago. But I'm familiar with PCH, but the way I was turning and going, I was just kind of following the path to get me there. Maybe I don't remember. Right in the middle of Pacific Palisades. Literally, when I turned, all it was Armageddon.
Yeah.
Like we turned and we all collectively, there were 4 of us in the car. We were like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't expecting that. And this is only like 2 months ago. Wasn't prepared. I literally was crying.
Oh yeah.
I came around the corner and I was like, because at first I saw like a little burnt, like little like corner as I was turning. I was like, oh no, what happened there? And then I'm like, oh my God, we're right here. I didn't realize that curve, that turn kind of took me to the freaking nucleus
Where
of
you could see it in the middle of it. Yeah.
In the middle of it. And when I was like tears and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So we're going like, just driving through and now, but we started at like the very beginning. So to get out of there and get to PCH, it felt like an hour. But I mean, it was so weird to me. It's just weird how the universe and God and all of these things is like burn, 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 burn. And then there'd be like one house.
Oh yeah.
Like pristine, right? Still sparkling. There'd be some where only the staircase was, but it was just heartbreaking. I wasn't ready because I wasn't planning on driving through that. So it was really heartbreaking. I actually went again, just down the PCH and just kind of sat there and just was like,
yeah.
Wow, it's just heartbreaking and crazy how like one house can.
Well, I was just to piggyback on that. I went. I did a listing presentation for a potential seller in Altadena.
Yeah.
And so driving, from my house to there, just driving through that again, it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
It was just. So I'm getting to her house and I'm just like feeling kind of away. All the houses across the street from her are gone. Like it's just empty. But on her side of the street, all the houses are still there.
Really?
So because remember, if you remember the winds that night, that's what it is. So those 80, 90 mile an hour winds, those embers were just randomly going wherever. So you'll have, one house here and then 2 are gone and this whole block is gone and McDonald's is still there. I mean, it's just because just the way that the embers were flying around that night. And I remember as I was on the freeway dodging tree branches and everything else that was just kind of going across the freeway as I was getting out.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, that's the randomness of it all. And so when you see it in the aftermath of it, you're just like, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it is.
That's all I kept saying was, wow. Like you saw it on the news, you saw it, you'd look and you'd see the newscaster after when things kind of died down. You're like, oh, that's terrible. But driving through it, maybe I didn't prepare, take the deep breath. When we came around that corner, I was like,
once you see it in real life, you're like, it just humbles you in a whole different way.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God. Like it was just insane and just really sad and crazy and the fact that they were like simultaneous and it was just crazy. Anyways. Yeah. But yeah, I was curious how that worked too and I also heard something and I don't know how true it is, but are they rezoning those areas so that they can't all be homes again? Or are they making it like where it has to be like condos or people?
No, they're allowing people to build homes there. I haven't heard about rezoning unless that's something brand new. Maybe. I've not heard about that.
I've heard about it in Pacific Palisades, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
because I have clients and I also have a couple friends that have houses there.
Yeah, and so it's always interesting trying to keep up with the latest because it's like there's
Changes
so much.
Every day,
yeah,
I'm sure.
It's like things change every day. Like I was just reading while I was waiting to get started with you. The governor's just talking about providing housing for people that are still displaced. From the fire.
A year later.
Yeah, I don't have all the details, but I just saw it on the feed.
Yeah.
So but it was that's a great question, but it was really it was and again it's still a thing and it's still emotional and can't wait for it to years from now when it gets back to what it could be, but it'll just be different. But Altadena was always so special. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That whole area, I love. I mean, the Rose Bowl and Pasadena and just Colorado and all of that area. I mean, that's where I hung out. That was like my stomping ground, like going and it was fun and great. And then when I heard that, I was like, it tainted it, but it didn't. I'm sure it brought a whole new like emotions and life. And like you said, the
for sure.
spirit didn't die, and that's
Oh my
great
God.
and amazing. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it's such a old, cool area that just is,
It's been through a lot. And I saw a picture over the weekend when I first started working for AT&T in 1981. Old Town was just a dump. It was boarded up. Most of it was boarded up.
Really?
Oh yeah. There are pictures, like if you go back and look from 1981, downtown Pasadena.
Sure.
Oh, there might've been there are a couple stores, a couple restaurants,
Sure.
whatever.
Now it's like this
Now,
thriving.
and then, from my office, I remember watching it as it started to, change over the years, while I worked in the big building there. But yeah, in the beginning, it was like, we never went to downtown Pasadena, because you didn't want to.
No, yeah,
But
you're
now,
like, we didn't want to.
Now,
Oh yeah.
you don't want to. No, there's just so much.
Now because of the parking and all this good places,
You don't want to.
you don't want to.
You don't want to, yeah.
What's funny is this is a long time ago. This is, let's say, 15 years ago, let's just say. My girlfriend and I were going to go to Burke Williams.
Yes.
Okay. She's like, we should go get a massage or a facial. We think we do massages, Burke Williams, whatever. So we're going to go, and we're going to go to the Pasadena one.
Yeah.
Not even thinking that it was like the day of the Rose Bowl.
Okay.
Not even thinking that.
Poor planning.
Absolutely. But it wasn't my planning. It was Tansy. When you're listening, I'm telling you, we just went. We're like,
Yeah.
we're off. Like, let's go.
Let's just
and
go.
we get off, we're going, and we're like,
What's going on?
not even thinking that it's the Rose Bowl. Oh my God. We were going 0 miles an hour. There's no parking.
Nope.
And we don't want to be late. And we're parking 4,000 miles away, still paying $1 million. And I was like, and everyone's in, like, at the time, it was probably, I'm assuming it was like Oregon and Alabama. It's like red and, whatever. And I'm just looking over and I'm like, what dumbasses we are. Like, this isn't going to be a relaxing massage, because now we're stressed because we're going to be late. We laugh about it because we're like, remember when we drove like freaking morons down? And the game hadn't started yet, so everyone's just walking, and we were like, oh my God, we're stupid.
I used to look out my window and you could tell, like you said, which schools were here, because everybody had their colors on, and it's like, oh, right, Alabama's here, or Oregon, or whatever, and it's like just depending on the colors. You could tell.
I looked over, I'm like,
they're all out there going all the little spots.
And they're like, who are those idiots wearing jeans and a t-shirt? They're not even here. Oh, they're going to go get a massage on the day where everyone and their mother.
First of all, shout out to Burke Williams. I used to go there a lot. And one of my peers, she still works there. She does that as well. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, my last question, because I know we do have to kind of wrap it up.
Oh, okay.
But here's my question, and it might be a couple parts.
Okay.
Do you think in California? I say California specifically. I'm sure in New York or these bigger, but LA as a whole, and actually California probably as a whole in the bigger areas. But let's say LA, for example, because LA is so grand, right? Do you think the market is it hard to be a real estate agent in the saturated market? Because it is a saturated market, real estate agents. Is it or no? I feel like it is, but I don't know. I feel like if you have 10 signs, it's one person for each sign. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different person.
There's a gazillion trillion real estate agents.
Gazillion trillion. You're speaking my language. Gazillion trillion.
So to answer your question, is it hard? There can be challenges, but every year we lose a lot of agents, get out of the business every year.
Okay.
Now, a lot of agents get in the business, which I do want to talk about briefly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Before we close. But if you're good, actually better than good, there's plenty of business for everybody. See, that's the other beauty. There's enough business for everybody, but most agents only sell 1 or 2 homes a year. That 80-20 Pareto rule, it works. 20% of the agents do most of the business. So I don't worry about how many agents there are. There's enough business for me. That's my mentality. Yeah. So that's how I approach it. And I don't worry about that.
So this is kind of 2-part. And because I know, younger kids, let's just say 21-year-old.
Sure.
I want to make money.
Yeah.
I want to make quick money.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to sell houses.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell houses in Encino Hills.
Okay.
Malibu.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go in there and they think money's just going to fall. But I feel like in those areas, that's a niche, right? Like that's you have to.
Well, that's a luxury market, but we have Pasadena has an amazing
you have
luxury
amazing.
market. Yeah.
I'm just using what I see.
But let me. Okay, so that's a perfect segue into what I want to quickly talk about. So one of the things that I do is I'm also the growth director for our market center. So I proctor a class every month for new agents. So people that want to be a real estate agent, we actually have a program where we pay for the pre-licensing. So the real estate school, we'll pay for it. Right?
Really?
Yeah. So that's a $400, $500 thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we do that. So once every third Thursday, I do that. But what I take the time to do is talk about just that, because so many people think that being a real estate agent is what you see on TV. No, sir, it is not what you see on TV. You don't just show 3 houses and pick one and everybody lives happily ever after. No, it doesn't work that way. So I spend time talking about that because I try to set a realistic expectation, because the reality of it is 20% drop out within 2 years. You know what I mean? So,
because it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
And the other thing is, because a couple of my friends, and I know a lot of real estate agents but like you said, they don't know the back to it. You see that I'm showing you this house.
Yeah.
You see that. But I spent 12 hours prior.
Absolutely.
Doing all the shit that no one even knows about. You will never know about it. You don't even want to know about it.
There is actually, we actually have some documentation that shows that there are at least 150 things that I do that you'll never see me do in order to make this transaction work.
I don't doubt that at all.
Right. But people don't see that. And again, our job is not to, I don't want you to see me sweat, because if you see me sweating, it's not going to be good. Transaction is going to go south.
Right.
But you need to feel confident that I got you and I'll take care of this. Right. So, but we talk about that because a lot of people, all they have is some of the entertainment real estate stuff that they see on TV. Yeah. So they think the deals just fall out of the sky. And like you said, Encino Hills, Malibu Hills, whatever. Yeah, not so much. You know, every now and then, don't get me wrong, I've had a deal just fall in my lap. Sure, that will happen over time, but that is not the regular and the real.
Yeah,
you got to learn your craft, and you got to practice your craft, and you have to do the hard work. It's a grind every day. It is not rocket science, but it is hard work.
But I also think, too, to your point, is the 20%. I bet you of that 20%, 19% realize it's a lot more work.
Yeah.
Of the stuff, whereas like you said, it's not just money's just falling because you sold a house and you're doing all this stuff. Those are hours that you aren't really counting as
exactly. And that's why we try to, for new people, I try to really hammer that home. So are you sure this is what you want to do? Because it's going to require you to do this work. And if you don't do this work, you can mess up somebody's $1 million dream. And this is their biggest transaction they're ever going to have in their life.
Absolutely.
And if you don't do it right, if you misread a contract, if you don't negotiate, whatever, you're screwing with somebody's life savings almost, if you think about it, right?
100%,
so
1000%.
You got to be really ready to do the hard work, and it is a grind. But like I said earlier, I love it. I don't want to do anything else. And
you know what I love about you is you can see that.
Yeah,
that's the thing that makes it so special. Like you can see that you are amazing at what you do. And I do want to hear what you were with our segue. I know I kind of
I already did it. It was about the class. So if anybody out there in listener land, if you want to be a real estate agent, you can reach out and, we can talk about our program. And again, there's no cost for it. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's actually a really cool thing.
It really is.
But you can see the passion in the teaching. You can see the passion in obviously the helping. You were so patient with us and so kind with us. And I never was the wiser. You could have told me you were doing this for 400 years. I would have been like, okay. So, I mean, you can see it, you can feel it, and people gravitate to that. So I guess I kind of maybe answered my own question in terms of, is it saturated? Maybe, yes. But like you said, every year, so many people get out of it because it's like, oh shit, this is some work.
Yeah. And again, what's for me is going to come to me. And that's how I approach it. So I don't worry about, there's the other 19% of the people doing business, more than a couple of transactions. I don't worry about them. What's meant for me is going to come to me, and it hasn't let me down yet.
And I'm going to say one more thing, because this is more like my opinion of the world today.
Yes.
Is that mentality of like, well, I'm going to make money because I'm going to be a real estate agent at 21. That's that mindset right now where I can just be an influencer.
Yeah.
I could just go on and do that and I'm going to make money. Whereas I'm not 27, as we know, 28 and a half. No,
There you go.
We came from, I made $4 an hour. You know what I mean? I worked at a candy store. I made $4 an hour. You hustled, you did. They don't have, they're thinking, oh, I'll just go and do a selfie and I'll do a video. And it's like money. I'm an influencer. What do you do? I'm an influencer. You didn't do all those things. And so when you see people show, like David has said this, he said this on one of the podcasts, he follows a lot of, vending machine crap.
Sure.
I mean, it's treasures, of course.
Of course.
But there's these videos where people are like, they own vending machines. Like,
Yes.
they go fill them up or whatever. And they come out and they open up the thing and they take
Money,
out
just-
and they're
yeah.
holding, they're fanning the money. Look what you can do. It's so
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
David's like, first of all, that's a fucking crock of shit.
Yeah.
He's like, second of all, you're not seeing the cost that you put into the stuff you had, it's just, oh, look at this quick, easy money. And he goes, so he gets these influx of people.
Sure.
Because I saw the Real Housewives were looking at, blah, 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 the MBA. They wanted to get in the side business or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it's so glamorous and it's so this, but it's a lot of work too. You know what I mean? You have to follow up, you have to keep it up, you have to do all these things. And he goes, so when that guy's taking out all the money, you take away all the stuff, you probably holding $50, not always.
Understood.
But David's like, they're fanning it off. And so then he gets these calls and people are like, well, I just want to make money like the people did. And he's like, it's not that simple. You can make money, but you have to put the work in.
Generationally, this last generation, it's about making money quickly without the work.
How
can I make money, a lot of money, with the least amount of work possible?
I feel that you're right.
That whole internet thing with the influencers and stuff, you're 1000%, which is again why I spend time talking to people up front. Like, it's not like that. So if that's what you think this is not going to be for you.
100%.
It is not going to be for you. It's like, I was working at 17. You were working that young as well.
Yeah.
It's like, you grind it out, I mean, not that you have to, dig ditches or anything, but there are other ways to make money other than get rich quick and those things.
Yeah, because it's like you're not putting the work in. And I'm not saying that, everybody, some people, whatever, but, it's just with everything, I mean, it was funny because I was talking to one of my clients. She was trying to look for a nanny or a babysitter or whatever. And she was telling me the expectations. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, I'm older than you, but the thing is I remember being like 12 years old, babysitting a brand new baby, like within 6 months old, maybe. And I made $20 a day.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the baby slept most of the time. The baby's alive.
Yeah.
I got to watch TV, everybody, but I made $20 a day. Yeah. Now it's like, oh, I want $35 an hour, 2 weeks vacation, car, and she's like, I never even did that when she's like, I babysat, I made, whatever. And we were kind of laughing because it's just that. And I just wonder with like these vending machines or whatever, because they just see people, it's all smoke and mirrors, right?
Yeah.
I sold this house. Well, maybe that's the only house you sold in 5 years. We don't know that. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you had a helper. We don't know that. Not that you can't, but you have to put the work in. And I think, and you have to love it. And I know that you love what you do. And I know that, I love that you're doing the senior thing. I love that we met you. It's like one of those things. It's just, people come into your path and the universe just says, here you go.
Yeah.
And I love you for that. I love all of the things. And I thank you for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
It's great. It's fun.
It was cool.
And I get to, dive in. And when you come back,
we'll. Nice. When you come back. Okay. I see that.
And when you come back, we'll have a whole other list of things because we can chat forever. And Keith and I have, and we probably could just talk for 2 years straight.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate just knowing you. And thank you guys for listening. Remember, like, subscribe, follow, and have a great day. Talk to you soon. That's a wrap on today's episode of Unpacking with Jennifer. I hope you're walking away with a little inspiration and a few practical tips to make life at home just a little bit easier. If you love the episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new one. And if you found it helpful, I'd love if you left a quick review. It helps more moms like us find the show. This episode was engineered by Robert Altschuler. Music by Coldfire. Recorded and mixed at Command Recording Studios.